Please.
Sorry, who was that? I did make a.
Can you make sure? Oh, now it is.
Oh, yep, you are. I'm sorry. I didn't see who was talking. I thought it was you.
Thank you.
You are now live.
We also need Angela and Shannon. Usually they're together.
Is that Shannon Hopkins?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move her over.
I just did.
Thank you. And I'll go through the list that we have for it too and keep an eye out there.
Okay, we do have a guest in the waiting room. If you could please change your name so we can identify you, that would be very helpful.
We'll have to change it for them, and they're called in. So are you okay if I allow them to talk so we can ask who they are?
Yes.
Shannon and Angela are here.
Hi, we have somebody on the phone right now with a phone number, and we went ahead and allowed you to speak. Can you please give us ask us who you are and your name, and we'll go ahead and update it.
Was that you? Was that you, Shannon?
We're on the computer.
All right, and we are live on YouTube. Again, if you are the caller on the phone, to unmute, it is *6.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn. I'm a ASD parent.
Well, hey, Jocelyn, it's Ricky Lind. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and I'm sorry, I did not catch your name.
Oh, Jocelyn, Joclyn, Remy.
Is it REMIE?
It's REAMEY.
EAMEY. All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and update that.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Title VI Indian Education and Alaska Native Advisory Committee and Native Advisory Committee, excuse me. We'll go ahead and get started with the land acknowledgement by Cheryl Sherman.
Good evening, everybody. We'd like to acknowledge that the Dena'ina people have lived, hunted, and gathered within the Cook Inlet region for thousands of years. We thank the Dena'ina people for their stewardship of the lands, water, air, and all that sustains us within their traditional lands. We respect the Dena'ina cultural ways, and we will strive to be good neighbors.
Oyana, Cheryl. So next we'll go into our welcome and introductions. So I'll go to the next slide. And so we'll go in order of your listed names, starting with our Native Advisory Committee Chair. If you could please introduce yourself and to the public, and I'll go ahead and turn my video off so that the speaker should be shared publicly on YouTube.
Good evening. I am Kimberly Santagata, a mother of 4 girls, 3 that attend Polaris K-12, and we're Nupiat. And we have our youngest in Cook Inlet Native Head Start.
Wanga Ayayarak. I'm Shannon Hawkins, the guardian to a senior at service, Miss Angela.
Megan, would you like to go next, please?
Sure, sorry. My name is Megan Sherman. I have 3 children in the district. I have 2 girls that are at Bowman Elementary and my son is at Handshoe Middle School. I am Inupiaq. My family is from Kotzebue.
Wanga Ajguana. Hi, my name is Angela Antelope Ordinelli. I am a senior at Service High School. We are Inupiaq, and our family is from Nome, Wales, and Little Diomede.
Wakas Skavak Unga Civilukti Unga. My name is Skavak and Civilukti. I am Yupik and Inupiaq. My English name is Nishay Time Andrew, and I am a senior at Service High School.
Brian, can you go next, please?
Yes. My name is Brian McIntyre. I'm a teacher in the Anchorage School District, and I'm also a father of 2 Anchorage School District graduates. Both are UPIC and ALI students.
Waka Chaki Alhook Magayach Miuchua. My name is Georgiana Starr. I teach 4th grade at the Alaska Native Cultural Charter School. I am Yupik and Koyakan, and I am from Scammon Bay.
Ricky Lind, or Galichuk. Ricky is my English name. I teach music at Winterberry and Rokashula, both ASD public charters.
Good evening. My Yupik name is Agafia, and I am the Senior Director for Title VI Indian Education and also Migrant Education. And happy Alaska Native American Indian Heritage Month.
Waka, my name is Crystalina Sisak Scott, and I'm the supervisor for Title VI Indian Education. Koyana for joining us tonight. Oh, also, I wanted to share that I am a parent of a 3rd grader, Uyakok, and he is very interested in NYO. So we're really excited about that.
Hi, my name is Julianne Bourdon. I'm the administrative assistant, and I'm just happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Sherman. I'm the Cultural Enrichment Specialist for Title VI Indian Education. I have 4 students in the district. 5 students in the district. 5. I have a senior and a variety all the way down to 1st grade.
Hey everybody, Johan Dovayu Lakibu Tegu Metlakatla, Alaska, Diwawatku. My name is Johan Atkinson. I'm of the Wolf Clan of the Tsimshian Nation here in Metlakatla, Alaska. I'm here to share my culture and give an update of what I'm doing with the school districts in Anchorage. And happy to see everybody.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other guests who would like to introduce themselves that we have missed?
Hi, I'm Angela Hartvickson, Indian Ed counselor at East High School and also a mother of a 6th grader at O'Malley Elementary.
Okay, I see that Elena Curtis has joined us, so I'll go ahead and promote her to a panelist. And Elena, if you could introduce yourself. I don't know if that changed the settings, but Elena, would you please be able to introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Elena Curtis, and yeah.
Great, thank you. So we also want to say thank you to Nancy Epstein, who's doing our closed captioning publicly. With her word magic, she's allowing many to hear what we are saying and what we are speaking. So we're grateful for her talent. And also a big thank you to the IT team who's on board. You all have provided us the ability to connect this year. And we know that your endless hours truly are appreciated. So, Koyana Jaknak IT guys and ladies. So we're going to go ahead before we conduct our order of business, we would like to introduce our guest, Johan Echohawk Atkinson. He has been working with our youth in ASD, and we asked him to open our session tonight to celebrate Alaska Native American Indian Heritage Month. So, Rihanna, Johan.
Neat. Delawan. Again, Johan Echohawk Atkinson, DYU. Lachibu Diptegu, Metlakatla, Alaska, Diwawatu. Hello, how are you all? My name is Johan Echohawk Atkinson. I'm of the Wolf Clan of the Tsimshian Nation here in beautiful Metlakatla, Alaska. Metlakatla is the only reservation in the state of Alaska. We are the farthest, most southern village here in the state. So I wanted to, before I share a couple of things, I wanted to share a song in honor of this month. It's celebrating all the cultures and the indigenous peoples of this world. This is a prayer song, and it's asking for our ancestors to come and join us in our lives and to come and be with us as we walk through this path, and come and give us the strength and the knowledge needed to continue to do this work and help the young people in our lives. So while I sing the song, I want to ask for everybody to please remind yourself why you all are in this work, why we all are here working toward the same goal to empower and strengthen our young people, especially during these stressful times in this pandemic. Thank you all. So, first off, I just want to say I'm really grateful and honored to be amongst so many individuals throughout the state of Alaska. You know, it's an honor to be able to work with the young people, be able to collaborate with other adults that have such a passion to work with the young people. A little bit, just a tiny bit about myself. I'm a youth counselor here in my village of Metlakatla, Alaska. I particularly work with 21 and younger, and for the last 8 years, for the last 4 years, I have been working with doing men's work here in the state of Alaska and nationally, in helping young men and men stand up and finally step up to end domestic violence and every other number that we are plagued with here in the state of Alaska. And nowadays with the pandemic, you know, our numbers are rising in so many places where we don't want our numbers to rise. So, you know, it's just, again, it's always great to be able to work and collaborate with people who just like-minded people. So I've been before the pandemic, through a nonprofit, through the nonprofit that I founded in 2003. I've been very fortunate to travel throughout Alaska to work with the young people and tell traditional stories through the Anchorage school districts, Fairbanks school districts, here in Southeast Alaska, on numerous villages and cities. Because I use my counseling experience, but I take a traditional approach. Everything that I have from my mother, she's from the Pawnee Nation in Pawnee, Oklahoma. My father, he's from the Tsimshian Nation here in Metlakatla, Alaska. So I'm taking everything that I learned from both of my cultures, and that's the counseling approach, because I know that everybody has heard that culture is prevention, the culture is healing, and it is in so many ways. And I don't particularly just work with Indigenous people. I work with people of all races. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, pink, purple, doesn't matter. Our traditional values have kept our people strong and healthy for tens of thousands of years. My whole philosophy, if it worked for us to keep us so healthy and strong with 10,000 years, then let's spread it to the world, because this world needs to be, healthy. And so that's, I've been very fortunate. I count my blessings every day to be able to have the opportunity to travel around Alaska and work with the young people, speak at schools. And so storytelling, that's my role in with the Anchorage, with the ASD right now. Is I'm working with the grade schools, middle schools, and high schoolers, telling our traditional stories, because traditional storytelling, it really connects people, because you're using your voice, you're telling a story, you're putting down your phone, your iPad, and you're actually communicating, you're connecting, and that's what our young people need, because with everything going virtual, with what's happening, our young people and adults are disconnecting. This Zoom, this online platform, it turned everybody's world upside down. So I've been having a really great time, and I'm just honored to be able to have the opportunity to be able to work with the young people of ASD. My overall goal with the middle school and high schoolers is different than the grade schoolers. The grade schoolers, I would, just tell the stories and have them learn the values and the lessons and be inspired to tell a story. But with the older kids, I really break down on what I've learned to be an effective way to tell a story, to captivate audiences. It doesn't matter if you're a young person, a teenager, an adult, or an elder. Everybody enjoys a good story. And sometimes they don't realize that until they're actually hearing it. All these traditional practices, are awakened in a lot of people. They just have to sit through a good story. So, but with the older kids, I'm breaking it down on how to tell a story, why our stories are so important. Because here in the state of Alaska, there's thousands of stories that are thousands of years old in all parts of the land. And these stories, they've always strengthened and taught and inspired and healed. So I'm having the young people write their own traditional story, to get motivated, because no matter how old the stories are, if you heard the story is 5,000 years old, well, at one point, the story was told for the first time. So I'm getting the young people to write their own story, and because maybe 500 years from now, their story will still be told, and just be able to connect with each other and bring back those traditional practices. Because when you're telling stories, when you sit down after dinner or wherever it may be, you tell a story, you learn more, connect more than you ever will through Facebook or Chat Snap or whatever the kids are doing nowadays. So it's but I'm really honored to be here, and I'm just here to help, because of the online. Because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to travel throughout Alaska. It's kind of been a norm for me for the last 4.5 years. So I'm taking everything online. And as with all the other parents and the students, I am adjusting as well. It's a challenge, to be able to do what we've always done, but through Zoom. Before this year started, I had no idea what Zoom was. I thought someone wanted to Zoom, no, I don't run, I'm out of shape. So, so yeah, it's, but I'm here to help, and it's really, really great to meet everybody. And I look forward to continuing to collaborate and work together with the overall goal of keeping our young people healthy, because they can't receive enough support in this day and age. Thank you all.
Thank you, Johan. It's been fantastic to listen to your stories and hear you engage with students, and you're really connecting a lot of the values that they have already. And it is just a beautiful thing to see Johan interact with the kids, and they're on a Zoom, and it's, it's not doing anything in class. It is engagement at a different level, and it's really neat to see. So Johan will be working with middle school and high school kids next week on Wednesday. And he has been sharing storytelling with a number of elementary schools. So thank you so much for sharing your stories and sharing your talent with our youth. So, Rihanna. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share the agenda again, and I'll go ahead and say, Ms. Kimberly, you have the stage.
Koyana, Johan, for that. And Juliana, if you want to do a roll call.
Was the meeting already called to order?
Sorry, I skipped that. My fault. We'll call to order the meeting of the NAC Native Advisory Committee on Thursday, November 19th, 2020 at 6:24. And now, Juliana, if you could do a roll call.
Yes. Kimberly?
Present.
Shannon? Tanya? Ricky?
Here.
Angela?
Here.
Nishay?
Here.
Megan?
Here.
Shanda? Brian?
I'm here.
Georgina?
Present.
Elena?
I'm here.
That's 8 present.
Thank you, Julian. I'm sorry I said your name wrong earlier.
You're fine. Thank you.
Do we have anybody that would like to entertain a motion for approval of the agenda?
Makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Angela seconds.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none and hearing none, all those that approve the agenda, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? And the agenda is approved. May I entertain an approval of the minutes for the September 17th, 2020 meeting?
I make a motion to approve. Angela makes a motion to approve the minutes of September 2017.
This is Nishay, and I second.
Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing and hearing none, I call the vote. All those that approve, please vote.
Aye.
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 The minutes are approved for the September 17th, 2020 meeting. The next item on the agenda is the vacancy of the parent seat, and I'll turn it over to Chris Lynn to talk more about that.
So going back to the last meeting, it seems so long ago in September, you all approved and amended the bylaws to be able to fill the vacant parent seat. And the bylaws have been approved by Kimberly and Superintendent Dina Bishop. And so all of your appointments and all of your seats are good for business. And so there is one vacancy of the parent seats.
And do we have enough to have a quorum tonight to vote?
There were 8 present out of 11.
So is that a quorum?
Yes.
Yes, you have to have a majority.
Okay.
So over 50%, thank you.
And then do we need to open nominations?
Yes, that would be the next steps should you want to fill the vacant parent seat.
Shannon makes a motion to open the parent seats nominations. I don't know.
Oh, Ricky Lind, I second.
With nominations open, is there anybody here that would like to nominate somebody or self-nominate themselves for a parent seat?
It's Ricky Lind. I nominate Jocelyn Ramey for the vacant parent seat.
Do you accept Jocelyn?
Oh, Jocelyn, I saw that you unmuted, but we couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry, this is Jocelyn, and I accept. I don't know if you guys heard me.
Yes, we heard you, Jocelyn. Are there any other nominations that would like to be entertained at this time?
So it's Ricky Lind. I have a point of personal privilege. I don't have my binder with me. It's actually at my school office. Is the parent seat also a 1-year term?
This is Megan. I feel like what we did was we made it so that it would just last the rest of this year, and then in April it would be open again. Does that sound right?
Oh, that's right. I remember it then. Whoever obtains the seat will have to run again in the spring. So I remember now. thank you for revisiting that for me.
So can I entertain a motion to vote on our nomination of Jocelyn Ramey to fill the parent seat vacancy?
Oh, I move to close nominations.
Thank you, Ricky.
Shannon seconds.
Jocelyn, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to be on Native Advisory Committee?
So I am a mother to 3 children. I have a 9th grader who just started at Highland Academy and a 1st grader who's in the Yupik Immersion program at College Gate Elementary. And I wanted to have my 4-year-old enroll into Head Start this year, but because of COVID, we decided to wait till later on when everything opens back up. And we are Yupik and Alutip and Inupiaq, originally from Bristol Bay, Dillingham area, and I'm also from Pilot Point in Manicodic. I'm a nurse here at A&MC. I just wanted to be more involved with the school district here. We've lived here for the last 3 years, and I'm about to have almost all of my children in school, so I just feel that this year especially has been pretty stressful with all the changes, just with everything going on. I'm just trying to be more involved and have our voice there to make school a better place for our kids.
Thank you for your frontline service as well, Jocelyn.
All those that would like, well, should we proceed? Or there was possibly another parent, but it appears that they might have left. So should we proceed?
We're allowed. I think we just have to vote to close elections.
So we'll vote to accept Jocelyn Ramey to fill the parent seat. All those that are in favor, please vote.
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Jocelyn wins the vote to fill the parent vacancy until April that we have open.
Congratulations, Jocelyn.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So the next item on our agenda is the NIEA and the Elders and Youth Conference information sharing. I know that Ricky attended NIEA. Is there anybody else that would like to share about Elders and Youth Conference?
Oh, Georgiana Starr also attended the NIEA convention.
So who would like to go first, Ricky or Georgiana?
I could go, Georgiana, if you'd like me to. I have my notes already pulled up.
Yeah, that's great. I can pop in too when you're done, just with a few things.
Thank you. I also like to celebrate, although it didn't happen this year, the Anchorage Education Association last year has approved for someone who has never been to AFN before, and also an AEA board member. So the local teachers union here at ASD has approved for one teacher member who has never attended AFN before, in addition to a board member, to each take 2 Union Day leaves to attend the AFN convention, which didn't happen this year due to COVID-19. I'm on the board, like the state board, and because of it, I've had to attend the local union board meetings also. And we haven't even established an application process for those leaves yet. So it's going to be a work in progress, but it's been approved since last year. So I have that to look forward to opening that up as a possibility for all of our teachers in Anchorage. And I did attend the National Indian Ed Association convention virtual for the first time from October 7th through the 9th. And the ones I were actively participating in, I did have some technical difficulty on the 7th, but I did participate on the 8th. The Office of Indian Ed Title VI Formula Grant Program Update, and expanding the circle, preparing students for a future across learning environments. Also invisible to indivisible, social emotional learning, supporting lifelong well-being and success, and understanding federal funding for Native American education. Then on the 9th, I attended the Office of Indian Ed Title VI Formula Technical Assistance for Success, or for post-award management, developing a Yucatan language proficiency test, reflections, and emerging lessons. 10 new teachings from honoring tribal legacy, and they spelled legacy Legacie. And I'm not sure what the intent was behind that. I didn't get around to asking, but that's how it was. And then also the closing General Assembly. And I just wanted to share my 2 big takeaways from these days, where a continued appreciation for our district's active Native Advisory Committee and detail-oriented Title VI staff, who together constantly and consistently listen to and serve stakeholders. And an underlying question too for like the whole thing was there's still quite a communication gap, not only at the federal level, but also the state level. For example, the Yucatan presenter didn't know about Chugachmewit, and Chugachmewit here in Anchorage has a database for, I was just looking at it on my iPad too. Some cool curriculum things. So it's things like that where we could strengthen communication just across the board. That would be cool. And maybe not everyone knows that if you are serious about the UPIC immersion program and you really want children to go through the program 100%, you can have them begin here in Anchorage, K-8, as it's planned. But then also on the peninsula, there is a high school that has their children practice UPIC classes through their, it's a community college, and I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, I'll research it and tell you. But that's where they send their high school students who are serious about their UPIC speaking. Thank you.
Georgiana, did you want to share about the NIEA?
You're muted, Georgiana.
After all these months of Zoom, you'd think I'd know better. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to attend this conference. This was my first conference of NIEA. And it was just, it was stuffed full. I went to every single session, every single day. And for the UPIC session, just FYI, I did give the code to our Yucatan teachers at school, Veronica, Karanak, and Sarah Lee. And they were able to attend that because they are currently building our curriculum for the pre-K through 8 program at the school. So I thought that they would benefit from attending that session more so than I did. But I did attend a lot of the sessions. Most of the sessions I attended dealt with schools, culture, and curriculum. And I took some screenshots of some of the things that I found really interesting. And one of the things that I was looking at was the whole concept of diversity and tribal diversity. And if you look at, even in Alaska, we're still a very diverse state with a lot of, different indigenous groups here. And so looking at this whole diversity from a perspective of spirituality and from the perspective of laws and treaties and historical perspectives and sovereignty, I found that to be very interesting. And then our school is in the process of really pushing for talking circles and restorative practices and restorative justice. So one of the schools that presented was from Lapwai. And I took a lot of notes on how they're dealing with, with behavior from a cultural perspective, from an indigenous perspective. And that's one of the things that I'll bring back to our school because I'm on the restorative practices team there. And I just found that the whole distance learning, the classes that they have, and the whole empowerment of the different presenters, and really looking at what people are doing across this vast state of ours, United States also. And it was just kind of amazing how all of us who are working with Native students in all these different schools and all these different rural urban settings all have the same goals in mind. So thank you so much for allowing me to attend. It was jam-packed and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. So I did not take that many notes. I kind of realized that I'd be telling my experience the last day. So I took a little bit of notes on the last day. But I did attend quite a bit of the conferences.
For NIEA.
Yeah, for NIEA. And most of the ones I attended were for about language and emotional mental health, help, I guess. There was one that I attended for language. They started an app type thing that it was really cool. They had different games on there and it helped the little kids be able to still learn their language. And it was really cool. And I think that would be really cool to have for up here in Alaska. And I attended one about FAFSA so I could learn more about it. And then
what about AFN?
Oh, AFN. Okay. Like from our thing?
Yeah. What did you do? What courses do you remember? What was your activity that you did?
I did the cedar bracelet making, which was pretty cool, over there on the table. But she had us she was teaching us one way, and then she also told us to do a different way. And she was just telling us how they gather the cedar and best times to gather cedar. That was pretty cool. Then we did presentation with our Nupiaq language group, which was really well.
For our Inupiaq language group, we talked about kind of our formation and how we started it and what we're currently doing since COVID, moving everything virtual, and kind of gave a lesson plan of what we do during our 2 hours every Saturday. So that was our updates for AFN and NIEA.
Wow, that sounded like a busy month. And I know, especially for you high school students, that was the end of the quarter. So, thank you for participating in the cultural events that we had, and while simultaneously completing your work. So good job to you students. I know I could talk about the NIEA, but I really was just, happy to be there and learn about curriculum development, language, and the impact. And I was there in the Yuchtun one, which was very neat to see how they structured and organized their language programs. And then, of course, the OIE Title VI grant training, so I can help be a good steward of our funding to be able to support our students and our youth. I know on our end, Cheryl helped a lot with the Elders and Youth Conference, and Julianne as well in getting our wellness kits to our participants. A lot of Title VI staff and counselors were able to distribute those materials that were provided by various agencies in Anchorage that stepped up to provide the wellness kits. Let's see, Cheryl, did you participate in Elders and Youth? Would you like to say anything about that I'm missing?
I had kind of like a back end role in Elders and Youth. A lot of our middle school students, so we had a group of students at Clerk. So we did a separate activity during the time that they had available. So we did a class on Silverberry, similar to the one that I did live on Facebook, and it was really good to see them getting a chance to interact with each other and ask questions about it. And then we will be getting back together to use those silverberries that they turned into beads into earrings.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions about Elders and Youth or NIEA? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on from that. It was nice because secondary did support our students who wanted to go to Elders and Youth by allowing excused absences for that participation. So we did have the support from secondary education. Okay, so now we're going to go into our report to you about Title VI program. And this financial report ending in October 31 has been shared with our board, and there is our categories. Of course, there has been spending since, and we do have adjustments as we go along. And one of the biggest things you have to understand is that our Title VI grant comes from the Office of Indian Education, and that's the source of our funding. I can go back to this as well when we talk about how we are intending on using the funding for our students. And one of the first thoughts you may think is, wow, that's a lot of money remaining, but we do have a plan for that, so which we will share briefly with you, as well as the advice that we had asked from you as the advisory board about how to utilize the carryover funding. We'll go into that. So how we intend to use the Title VI grant award primarily is used from our staff salaries. We have Across the board, we have a lot of staff in 33 different schools. We have teaching supplies, professional development. We help support our NYO coaches, cultural programs such as, for everything that Cheryl is organizing, and our after school tutoring and our guest artists. And we'll be asking for your input today for this summer program and the design, especially given the updated Q1 data of student grades that was shared recently on Monday to the Anchorage School Board. And so we can go back to this as well with our intended summer budget. What we asked 2 months ago was from your heart of hearts, what would you like to see with the carryover funding? And so we're happy to report that we wrote down every single thing that you said, and we are intending and have spent our funds to support with your guidance. So we have provided technology distribution, school supplies. We have an upcoming Barnes & Noble book purchase for our families, for our students. We're really excited about stocking our ASD library with ebooks and audiobooks that are culturally relevant materials for our kids. And what we're really excited about is this. We would like to help conclude the NYO middle school curriculum so that every single middle school student in the Anchorage School District will be taught our Native Youth Olympics or Indigenous Native Games. And so we are really excited about that opportunity. We focus a lot on material items to get to students, and we want to order Chromebook cases, as we know, up and coming as students go back into school. The big question as well is, can students carry the Chromebooks back and forth? And we want to make sure and ensure that those materials are protected and easy to use. We also are allowing funding for cultural programming, cultural bears, as Cheryl will share later. Students, we are listening to you, and we are in the works of paying for AP exam course fees. And if you have paid, we're working on the reimbursement process. So thank you for your guidance, and we look forward to the next steps of guidance as well. Does anybody have any questions about the carryover funding?
Hi.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'll wait.
This is Nishay, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening and writing down all of the suggestions we had. I think that's so amazing, and I feel like very valued, and I feel very excited that you did that. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for volunteering your time. I know you're busy with your courses, but to advocate for our students, we are listening. Thank you all for participating in the NAC. And we'll be happy to report more along as we go, especially when we conclude and start launching the NYO middle school curriculum, which I'm very excited about.
Hey, Crystalline, it's Ricky. I have a question.
Sure.
About carryover funding. I'm wondering if there's room in the carryover funding for supporting something like, and I don't remember who it was, and I'm trying to do some research now, but during the National Indian Ed Association Hill Day in February, this is prior COVID, so it happened just before COVID-19. We went to Hill Day in Washington, D.C., and while we were there, there was also a student group there, and they had a separate event. They were doing something else, but it was high school students. And I think it was through the National Congress of American Indians, but I don't remember. But I'm wondering if there's room in our carryover funding to see, and chances are it's going to be a digital version of their event this year, if we could include students for that too.
Absolutely. I know that, and I really wish, of course, that people could travel and go really see and experience DC. But, you know, there is cost savings, I guess, to have virtual. There's only registration. Students being involved with something like NIEA or NCAI, or that would be a really great opportunity. So we'll definitely look into the dates and follow up with you, Ricky, on your request.
Because I don't remember who it was. They were at the same reception that we were at, though. So I'm trying to remember.
Close up with it. NIAC and
The National Congress of American Indians, NCAI. I think it was them, but I'll ask Sildelta Asawi to be sure.
Yeah, I was going to say she would probably know. That would be great. Okay, so we have planned a lot. But another set of information that we have for you before we go into other parts of our academics is just a report out to you. I know we'll be reporting to our Title VI staff as well. Just our current numbers, where are our students? How are they split across the district? We have almost 8,000 Alaska Native American Indians students enrolled in the Anchorage School District, and the majority are in the in-school program. We do have a count for ASD virtual of 474, and that number hasn't necessarily changed. And then what is kind of staying fixed right now is the ASD homeschool figures. Our staff for Title VI are working extremely hard to advocate for our students, especially in the secondary realm. We have 13 counselors across middle school and high schools. And they are continually advocating, contacting, reaching out, creating amazing events for students to join in on Wednesdays. We have a lot of teammates who are tutoring after school. We have counselors who are tutoring. We have a lot of people stepping up. And so we'd like to thank our Title VI staff for working extremely hard for our youth. And some are here and probably watching as well, Sokoyana. We have 25 tutors who have served 713 students. They're providing cultural activities, and this was the Q1 data. So that is not even including what was occurring in November. And they're continuing to reach out and learn and grow digitally as well. We do have after-school tutor support because so many of our teammates are actively working throughout the day. And our students are working throughout the day. We do know that there's a need for virtual tutoring. So we currently have 20 teachers, TAs, tutors who are working after school to support students. And the last I counted is we have 98 kids registered with K through 12 for after school virtual tutoring. We also are helping support some of our in-school after school programs. And Ms. Doreen knows a lot more about the on-site support that is at South. So, and that's with safe mitigation and the intent to support our students who just need extra support with navigating the virtual environment. And I'm going to go ahead and have Julianne talk specifically about student distributions because Julianne has been doing an amazing job supporting our students and our on-site staff. So Julianne, did you want to jump in?
Sure, thank you. So for elementary, we had ordered books, desk calendars, whiteboards, lap desks, and they're really kind of cute. You could see next to the picture there, they stand up, and actually the lid lifts up and they can keep their supplies underneath there. Markers, crayons, erasers, puzzles, and a whole lot more for our students. Roughly about 250 students will be getting or have gotten supplies. And our youth development tutors in the elementary schools are still continuing passing out supplies to our students. In middle school, we still have one big order coming in. It's just taking a while because it is a huge order. We ordered about 400 calculators for our middle school students and protractors. They also were given some headsets, keyboards, USB hubs, whiteboards, and calendars also. And then for high school, we leaned more toward the technology piece. And roughly 290 students have gotten, or some will still be getting keyboards with the mouse, headsets, hubs, and of course surge protectors. We're still waiting on those to come in. And it's been a task because of the COVID thing. We've had to reschedule a couple of distribution times because of the district only allowing a certain amount of people in. So we've become creative where we've, have people come to the back door and we'll hand them their supplies. I've even delivered supplies to staff at their schools. And so just trying to find that creative way to get the supplies to our families. Does anybody have any questions?
It's Ricky. I'm just coveting those red canvas bags.
We have lots. If you would like one, I can save one for you.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it.
No problem.
It'll be my McClay bag.
Okay. They are very nice. They're a pretty stiff cloth. It's almost a canvas. So they should last a pretty long time.
I learned to keep one in the car just in case my parents say, we lit the steam tonight, because it could be any night of the week. So I never know.
Anyway, thank you for letting me share.
Well, thank you, Julianne. She's had a lot of orders, a lot of, logistics. Our staff as well, as seen in the picture. They have been amazing at getting these bags safely to our youth and even doing home visits, dropping off materials at the door for students to have. So, again, we just can't thank our staff enough for just wearing their hearts on their sleeves and working so hard for our kids. So, Juliana. Okay, so I think we're going to jump quickly in to cultural programming, and Cheryl will go ahead and share.
Before we jump to the next slide where it has words, I want to just talk about each of these pictures a little. So the top left is the tools that one of our staff members is using to talk about Rock Your Mocks with her students this week. Top center is, I just shared that video. That book is amazing, which we've already talked about that. And so one of our staff members contacted the author and got permission to record and share it with our students. Top right is what I am currently working on with a group of high schoolers at East. We've been doing a beading circle for the last couple weeks. And so we're working on getting those done. And they will either turn them into pins or ornaments. I left that up to them. Bottom left is a drawing from a student at Chinook. Our staff member at Chinook read one of the Raven Tales, and they did that. So this bottom center is what one of our students was doing during the storytelling last night. So this is her story map of the story that Johan was telling last night. And then bottom right is a drawing or coloring, or there's multiple mediums going on, a mixed media picture from a student at College Gate Elementary for Rock Your Mocks this week. So this has been a super crazy week for us. We've had other things going on during this month as well, but this week was super jam-packed. We had storytelling workshops for middle and high school, and the family storytelling night last night. There was presentations that I did at Nunaka Valley Elementary. We've got the beading circle going on. We had another, Hannah Scholl came and did another presentation of her Indigenous tattoos and face paint for the students in the Diamond area. We've had staff taking their students on virtual field trips. Tomorrow is ASD Rock Your Mock Day. We've got ribbons that have gone out from our staff, as well as we should be getting a flood more of those pictures, like the one from our College Gate student. We've also had fry bread making yesterday, and a couple weeks ago, a guduk making. So there's pictures of that as well. There are some images in that collage as well of students' face paint drawing that they did when they were doing the class with Hannah. And what we've got coming up, we're working on doing some carving with our students in a more asynchronous way. I know our students are getting a little burnt out with the Zoom, and so we're working on getting them off of there, but still engaged. Our craft kits have come in, and we're working on getting those sent out to students as well. We've got to finish breaking those apart, and so our staff is working extra hard and putting in extra hours to get those broken down so that individual students can have those kits as well. And we will have more virtual programming coming up in Q3 as well.
Great, thank you. And we have Angela Hartvickson from East in the panel. She has been delivering kits, the fry bread, the gudok making. She's an prime example of somebody just working very hard for our students and keeping them engaged. So Royana, Angela, and Ralph, if you're listening, for working at East and making tangible things happen virtually. So it's very, very cool. So this is probably a good stopping point to say, is there anything culturally that you're thinking about, what you may have seen out in our community, or maybe any sources of inspiration? So we'll just kind of open it up for our NAC to just join in and have we can take notes as well, or you can email us.
Thank you, Crystal, and it's Ricky. I just wanted to say that this list is majestic. I love this. And it's getting community attention too, Cheryl. I've seen so much social media, especially for the Indigenous tattoos with Hannah among our families. That one, it just blew up my feed when it happened. It was amazing what was done with our community with that one. I love it. It was my favorite, but this is great. Thank you for showcasing this to us.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
I know my school is really excited about, or my class is really excited about family night tomorrow night at Tyson, and it's a lot of programming having to do with Alaska Native Heritage Month, so I'm excited about it.
I failed to even mention that I'm doing that. I've got so much stuff going on, I'm forgetting to share things.
Well, thank you, Cheryl, for working very hard. And, we are excited to bring more. And if you have any ideas, NAC, we are an email or phone call away. We are also on Facebook, and you're welcome to share things with us, and we can share out to families as well. So
I have one more, Crystalline. I promise to keep it short. I have a friend who discovered that you can take dry fish from Asian markets and try it with your ukuk. If you're really jonesing for some seal oil and have nothing to have it with, and you don't want to have it with onions or vegetables, try Chinese market dried goods. She said it works. I'm going to try it with squid. I'll keep you posted.
That got me thinking. I went to Red Apple, And you know how you get those rice sprinkles? I got one with the dried tuna and one with they actually had one with dried salmon. So yeah, the rice sprinkles. And I'm like, wow, these are pretty interesting. But our school for the past 2 days has had an author come in. The author Shelley Gill that does a lot of the Alaska books. So we had 2 days of presentations with her with the grant that we got. I believe it was a grant from Siri. And it was just really interesting to listen to her talk about, her experiences in Alaska. She had this whole presentation about where she gets her inspirations based on her science background. And then in December, we are getting Alyssa London coming in to talk about her book, Journey of the Freckled Indian. So, the students of all grades really enjoyed having these authors coming in and visiting. So, yeah, it was pretty exciting for us today.
Hi, I know I have a friend that teaches at an elementary school on the east side of town, and she, her principal is providing cusbucks for them to wear on Tuesdays for the Regalia Tuesdays, and she wanted to know that she asked on Facebook that she was not appropriating culture, and got several reassurances that in the spirit that it was being shared, that it was more uplifting for our Alaska Native American Indian students than what would be finding harmful. But it was nice that she thought of that because she's not Native. But it might be something that we could share, like some information for teachers across the district so they know that this is what we do want them to do and to not feel like that.
Thank you for sharing that, Kimberly. That also came from my school too. Our 8th grade teacher was uncomfortable at first participating in Rock Your Mocks this week, and she asked me if it was culturally appropriating, and I assured her that it wasn't because she wasn't obtaining personal or monetary gain from the event.
Hi, this is Nishay speaking. I had a teacher reach out to me about this, asking me what my thoughts are. And like you guys, I agree that it's uplifting Native culture. The only thing that I asked her for clarification is this principal, is this school, are they doing a land acknowledgement? Are they acknowledging their Native students? Because I think if they do that, it'd be purposeful and meaningful and powerful rather than just doing it for like a Facebook post.
The principal was providing cusbucks for the teachers to wear on their during their Zooms on Tuesdays with their students. I did not think to ask if they were doing a land acknowledgement, but the principal was trying to the Title VI had rolled out Regalia Tuesdays, and she was trying to up the participation there.
I think it's a really great conversation to have. I know I've had that before with many teachers around me all over the state. And if you're a teacher listening, I know I'm not speaking for everyone, but I feel like it's a beautiful thing when a non-Native is wearing a gusbuck. To me, it represents that, number one, you're loved. If somebody gifted you that means you're giving that, you're given a blessing to sport our gusbucks, or you're really wearing a gusbuck that you're supporting an artist, that you have the intent to wear somebody's art, or maybe that you're a sewer and you've learned to sew. So I don't see it as appropriation. I think that would be, thank you for bringing that up, Kimberly. And also Nishay for having a deeper level to share our culture, because knowing us and our cultures, we're all about sharing. So great conversation. I think that would be something to add to our traditional Tuesdays. So Juliana for that. Are there any other comments about traditional Tuesdays or about Gasbox? Articles? Okay, Getakwa. So that does conclude our program information from Title VI to the NEC. So I can go ahead and pull up the agenda again. We do have general comments and questions from the public. But I did know that part of our program information does include information about the Anchorage School Board's outcome monitoring for Q1 data. But before we may talk about that, I didn't know if there's, we're going to follow the agenda, if there's any other general comments.
So this is Nishay speaking again. This is something that you touched on earlier, and I just wanted to get clarification. So earlier it was said that there are 13 Title VI counselors between high school and middle schools, right?
Yes, those are the community counselors.
Okay, and so I did a quick search, and in total there's 18 high schools and middle schools. So that means there's 5 schools that don't have a community council. And I know that every school has a significant amount of Indigenous students. So is this something that's being looked at, or is it something that was justified in some way?
So every year we have to submit for Title VI funding, and we have to submit basically a plan and an application to the Office of Indian Education. And I know this is my first 4 months of this position, so I'll try to explain what I know, and then Ms. Doreen, if she's able to jump in for more clarification. So with the grant application, which we've learned it's going to be a little bit of an online modification this year, we have our proposals and we put in, the current staffing and our projected needs of our program. If we were to be able to staff every single school, which would be fantastic, we would literally be requesting, like triple the budget. Now, we do look at the numbers, our use of services. We do look at our enrollees. We look at the data. I know I look at the data nearly every other day to see where our students are and get to know our schools. So the placement of our staffing is driven by how many students may be in various schools, but that does not mean that the students that are in a smaller school, or there may be a smaller count, like at my son's school, like Turnagain Elementary, it does not mean that those students are not thought of. When we think about our programming, we think about how do we reach out. And so I know there's ways to adapt, such as that's why we did the virtual tutoring, and we're actually tutoring quite a number of kids without any tutors or counselors in their schools, and that was the intent, to reach across the board. I like that model. I think we can reach further by literally knocking down our walls. But as for the program funding and the placements, based on the numbers, I am not exactly the guru in the room to talk about the capacities and the cap of the budget that is restricting us from asking for more. So, Ms. Doreen, are you able to chime in?
Sure. So I think you did a good job, Crystalline, on explaining that, because it's actually a really hard decision to make for it's a hard decision because we want to provide services everywhere, but we really do have to look at number. We look at number of students, we look at percentages, and we certainly look at data as well. It's not just, there's 110 schools. And so those are hard decisions with a $2.8 million budget. It just, those are difficult decisions to make. So with that, there was data that was looked at, number of students, percentage of students at the high schools and also at the middle schools.
And since Title VI is formula funded, we're also given a kind of a capacity of a dollar amount. I think that's why we can't, ask for thrice more. So, if we could, we would. But I think it's all about how we are being good stewards of what we are given. It's not actually that we're given, it's our right to our education, and what we do with it is in our capacity and in your capacity to help guide. And so, but one thing to keep in mind is 98% of our budget is on staffing currently. And it's whatever we can do in the most efficient and frugal way of delivering our services. So when Juliana and I are looking about shopping, and we're shopping with Cheryl, and we're shopping for resources, we are looking at the best quality for the best value, so we can reach more students. And so it's kind of in that wiggle room that we have a little bit more control, but we definitely want to maintain our we have quality staff. We have amazing staff, and if we could triple them, we would, but we do have a capacity. So we do know that there is a need for secondary, and it has been a challenge to try to recruit secondary tutors. But again, we have a number of ASD staff, teachers, TAs who are willing to step up around the school day to help serve our students. And we love working with them too, because they're not part of Title VI per se, but we're able to say, okay, well, what do you know about Title VI? And what do you know about our Indian education students? And they are part of our team. So, I hope that answers your question, Nishay, a little bit more
Yeah, it definitely does. Thank you for answering it. That was just a question I had, because I know how valuable the community counselors are, especially after having the new one at Service High School. I definitely realize how invaluable it is to have that counselor. So thank you.
Diana. Any other general comments?
Oh, it's Ricky. I have one for, what's it called? I developed a people scavenger hunt for anyone who's interested in sharing this with their family or their coworkers. Questions like, who has more than 20 first cousins, ever done a COD, has had to pack water, has one freezer full of subsistence food, has ever taken a sauna or attended the Festival of Native Arts in Fairbanks, just questions like that if you're interested in seeing it. And I shared it with Title VI 2 years ago, but I saved it in my computer and I could share it with anyone. You just have to email lind_ricky@asdk12.org.
Just another comment. 2 years ago, Indian Ed allowed myself and another teacher to tutor at the school for the after-school program. We had a limited amount of students that were able to attend the 21st Century after-school program. And so we proposed that we have our own program that runs parallel to 21st Century. And we focused on what the students really needed. And that was a combination of homework help as well as cultural activities. And I think that that was really successful in helping our students after school. And, I think for those schools that don't have necessarily a tutor, that's something that really worked well at our school.
Thank you for bringing that up. A lot of the 20 tutors that we have hired virtual program for tutoring after school, a lot of them are stemming from non-staffed schools. So we're really excited about that. But learning more about what that may look like, maybe that's a messaging and an opportunity for us at Title VI to really share about the benefits of having the after-school program once we do go in person as well.
Crystal, and I just wanted to share one more thing, kind of along those same lines, is that I know as a tutor before I took the cultural enrichment specialist position, I did a similar thing with the PLUS program. And so they were running after school programs, and a lot of our students qualified for the PLUS program as well. And so they had a list and they were able to feed my students snack, and then I took them and we did cultural activities parallel to that same program. So they were able to take the bus if they needed to for that as well. And it worked really well. So that's when we return to in-person, that's something else that we can look at as well.
Great, thank you. Any more general comments? Questions?
I'm wondering, when did our tutors start tutoring? Like thinking about that board meeting on Monday and looking and hearing the stats, like when did the meat of our tutors start to help our students? And I wonder if we're able to kind of beef that up, where we can see more results for Q2.
Those are really good questions, and you should be questioning the data. So the data that Shannon is referring to is Monday's school board information that is the goal monitoring component of Superintendent Bishop's report to the school district. And the data shows that our students, our Alaska Native American Indian students, were the biggest group that had increased Fs than any other group in the district. And that data was from Q1. It is on school board docs, and it was also emailed to the NAC. So to answer your first question about when our tutors started, a lot of our tutors were in a lot of trainings at the beginning of the year, but they were also waiting for school schedules to even out. And more importantly, 90% of their work was case management. And that meant all hands on deck. Who's got a computer? What do they need? Do they know their schedules? Phone calls, lots of emails, a lot of coordination as we were entering into an uncertain fall start. Usually tutoring starts September when schedules get concluded, and high school students know all their needs, and they know their schedules and everything is set. But the tutoring times, especially since the tutors were waiting on school schedules, they were waiting on the Zoom times. They were waiting for their roles and their students. It was nearly September 20th that they were able to fully launch their tutoring in school structure. Like that was when they were they had their rhythm. So that was a later start than normal, but they were also by that time, by that time of them starting, there were still a number of students that were without internet and without Chromebooks. And I know that we will have better data and better success because a lot of our students are plugged in, and that our staff is there for a lot of the case management and assessing family needs. So, I'm expecting. I expect better data. I expect better review, but there are pieces of information that we could assess, and there is data that we could pull and request for your review as well to pinpoint more supports and things that we need. One new platform is iReady, and so with iReady, that's a good place to review student needs and gaps of achievement, and so there are data resources that we can look into that will be training our staff as well to target more supports. Did I answer your questions? I tried to.
Good insight.
So, speaking of the data, I thought a part of it was misleading. Maybe I don't have this correct, if it could be clarified. But for the ethnic group section, it said Alaska Native or American Indian. However, this doesn't include all Title VI students. Is that correct? Because if I remember correctly, it's if you are defined as multi-ethnic, then you don't count under that category.
I would have to refer to our data analysts, and that is a question that I have too. In most cases, it's my understanding, since I really tried to dig into the data when I first started this position, mainly because I used to work in civil rights data analysis prior to teaching. And when the Civil Rights Office set the new multi-ethnic category, that is confusing, but at the same time, it's a necessary category. So when we pull our reports and we do our reviews, we really do, at least for Title VI, use the ARISE method of data collection and include that multi-ethnic category. So for this particular report, I would have to request clarification, and I can do that on behalf of the board to our data analyst for that clarification. Okay. And unless Doreen knows a little bit more about the analysis.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Another question I had about that data, I know it's all very up in the air because it was just Q1, but I wanted to know how many students are Title VI, whether they're multi-ethnic or not, and are also economically disadvantaged, because especially during this time over online, if you don't have stable Wi-Fi, if you don't have a running computer, you are set back in so many different ways. And so I just wanted to know if there was any shared between those two categories, and if it's significant. Do we know that the district, for everybody, not just our Title VI students, do we know if they've been able to provide the resources that these students need to have during online learning?
The breakdown of that data, I believe we can request that to really see which students are Title VI eligible students. I do know, for me, even though we have Title VI, I like to look at all of our Native students, and I look at all across the board, all across the multi-ethnic, to see, because those are people. That's our whether or not they enroll into our program or not. But we can request that data broken down by those categories to really look at our data and own our data, so we can make and help make decisions and question. I do know that through the combination of Title VI and Migrant Ed, with the teams on sites, I know that Migrant Education has done an amazing job of providing a lot more of the supports with Chromebooks, but also IT did, especially at the end of September and into October, they really streamlined the Chromebook part. It's just the internet supports that are a little bit, I think it's out of our budget, and it's out of the ASD's general internet capacity. But I, again, don't know the details of that. So, Doreen.
Can you ask that question again? I'm taking notes on something.
Nishay, did you want to, from what I was hearing, you were wondering specifically what capacity ASD has specifically driven to support the technological economic disadvantage gap for internet support?
Yeah, I want to know if all the students who are categorized as economically disadvantaged, if they have been addressed and given all the resources that they need, bare minimum, Chromebook and Wi-Fi. And I just want to know if that's been extended to every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I can't say for sure, so.
I can just tell you what we're doing at our school for those students. All of our students who were in need, we distributed our own Chromebooks. And when those ran out, we received Chromebooks from Ricky Shula. And so every student who needed a Chromebook, we attempted to make sure that they had one. And I know that the district initially was assisting families with Wi-Fi. And we had one family in particular who was in a spot because their electricity was cut off at the beginning of the year. And so Migrant Ed and our school had to really work with that family to make sure that they were in a spot to get their students the Wi-Fi that they needed. And so they were given Chromebooks. And then I think the school, the nurse, and other school partners helped them with the electricity so that their students were able to access. And then we also helped them get a hotspot. And then we currently have a router at school for them to pick up. And so I think a lot of these decisions are really school-based, and depending on the services that your school provides, whether it's within our school or with our school partners, that's one of the things that we really push to make sure that all students had access.
Thank you.
And Nishay, if families or students don't have Chromebooks, staff will reach out to them if they know it, and that the Chromebook will be provided, whether they have to go to another school, and it can be delivered by Stuber, which is we're using the student buses. So I'm pretty confident. I don't know how far of a grade level that goes down to. I heard some rumblings today that some younger kids didn't, but we're going to address that and figure out where that is. And sometimes parents don't know to ask, or families don't know to ask. So sometimes we have to ask as staff members, do you guys have a Chromebook? Do you have Wi-Fi? Anyway, so those are certainly some variables. I think they're less than they were probably. I think it was still a factor at the beginning of the quarter, because I heard of kids getting Wi-Fi and or Chromebooks probably up until October. So we're still looking at first quarter, mid-quarter even towards the end of the quarter for getting those supplies. So we'll check back with families and such.
I teach 5th grade on the east side of town at William Tyson Elementary, and all of my kids have Chromebooks. The issue though is they don't all have Wi-Fi, or they run out of Wi-Fi, or they're unable to pay their bills so they can keep Wi-Fi. And so it's constantly an issue of, do they have it today? Do they have it tomorrow? And those kids fall behind. And there's got to be a better way to assist them.
Yeah, it's problematic. Thank you.
What my schools are quickly finding out too is that not all families are keen to adequate use of Chromebooks, including site safety. And so not all families are aware that it's actually pretty safe to have a Chromebook at home from our district. You just have to know that the language used in Zoom, in addition to the sites being visited, are being monitored by ASD.
Mm-hmm. And really learning how to do that. I mean, my own story is that here I'm a mom in the Anchorage School District, and my daughter is in school, and I was still struggling with Canvas. I'm a back-end user of Canvas. I create courses and, I monitor it, but I don't know how to use it as a mom, right, to help guide my daughter. I wasn't even in the parent portal part of it. So I actually had somebody from my daughter's school Zoom with me and coach me through and say, okay, during this is how you check this. Like, I didn't know. I didn't take the time really to go through and find it and muddle my way through, because as we're all busy, and I was just kind of making assumptions that she was doing okay. And I think she's doing okay, but there's some tips that I learned. And then I had that staff person call and Zoom with her so she could learn how to do things better. Because I think we're in a more comfortable space, that we're not just trying to react and just get the assignment done and get it uploaded and all this technology. It's much smoother right now. I think second quarter, I'm crossing my fingers, will be much better. I think we'll have, I'm assuming some more successes, because, we've done a lot of outreach as far as Title VI Indian Ed teachers and other staff members, making sure that our families are connected and they're kind of knowing how to navigate, because there's a lot. Like, I mean, Nishay, you could probably talk to this, and many of you others could talk to this. So it's not just Zoom. There's Noodle, there's this, there's that. I could name, I don't know, all kinds of funky, weird names that go with trying to submit an assignment. And that's a lot. It's just a lot. And many of us are working from home, and, it's difficult to help during the day. I think many of us on this Zoom could probably say that.
Doreen, if I could piggyback off of that, I was having some thoughts about, I appreciate all the supports for the kids, but really the parents are struggling with supporting their kids. And I don't know what we could do to help in that realm.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Our school is starting to have, and I know Stream Academy does it, I'm not sure others do, but we're going to start having a second cup of coffee virtually. And we're going to have meetings specifically for parents and trying to teach them better how to use Canvas or some of the other platforms that we're using to teach and use lessons. And so I think that will be helpful. Outreaching to parents, because I think that's the key, is like parents don't know what their kids are turning in or what they're not turning in. They don't even know how to go check and see if their assignments are or if they're graded even, I mean, I don't even know that they know that they're doing. They see their kids are on there every day and they see that they're doing work, but they don't know if it's actually being turned in,
Brian, you just described me to a T. Because it is. That would be me.
I think that for a lot of schools, especially since we're a smaller school, we're pre-K through 8, that a lot of teachers have to find different ways to do that outreach for their students. And so what a lot of us are doing is that we're extending the time that we have the kids. We have like group work. We're trying to get kids to come in one-on-one. I know that Migrant Ed is also working with groups of students in Zoom. My office hours are no longer office hours. I'm spending 4 hours plus. I'm spending probably an hour and 40 minutes outside of class just trying to reach those kids who want the extra help, who want the extra time. I have 4 to 8 kids coming in every day at 10 o'clock just for that help. All of them become co-hosts. All of them can share their screens. And so I know that with parents, especially with working parents who may or may not be home or unable to help during the day. And so it's really reaching out to those individual students. And it's from the teacher's end, and then keeping them after class, getting them before class to get those grades in. I have no problem with doing the extra work, but it's getting the kids in. So, it's 1 or 2 students at that time to change those Fs into a passing grade. And I do have students with Fs. And it's that continuous outreach and working with students and not so much with parents, even though parents are there.
I just wanted to say, Megan, I know that our staff is doing a lot of parent reassurance. I can tell you from personal note that Angela has done that often in the last few months. As you know, I have a household full of students, and there's one of me, and their dad works full times, and he used to work nights, but now is on days. So I'm trying to work from home and get them all on. And we've had a lot of parents in that same struggle with. There's just too many there's not enough hours in the day. And so our staff has done a lot of reassurance of letting parents know that they're not alone and it's okay.
Thank you. Yes, that is it. There's so many kids.
I mean, and I know some parents that are even just trying to work from home and help one student is hard enough. So if you've got 2 or more, you're definitely outnumbered, and there's just not enough time.
And 2 or more on the internet at the same time. I'm finding that families, 4 or 5 kids in a household, those are the ones where, especially if the parents are working too, the internet becomes choppy. They lose. If they think everybody else in that class caught what they missed, these students check out. They're like, I don't even know what happened. My internet's so frustrating. And so it's really lost a lot of our students when they do try to engage. GCI, the free Wi-Fi, even full on internet. I've had families of 5. I had a family of 5 split, put 2 in homeschool so that they could manage the Wi-Fi. And so it can be even just the area of town you're in where you don't get good Wi-Fi. And I have certain students that are kicked off every time we do an activity. I mean, I don't know if I would have been as resilient as some of these guys. So internet's a huge issue.
And not only that, it's making this whole system of how we're teaching is making our kids have to become more independent, even if they're not ready to become more independent. And that's the real struggle. I mean, especially at elementary level, our kids aren't independent yet, and they gotta be. We have to force them to be more independent in getting their work done and their assignments turned in. And it's tough, man. It's tough.
So if there's one thing, one concern I still have about, my dog's about to freak out, I'm sorry. If there's one concern I still have about getting these resources to students is we all went through this learning curve in the beginning of first quarter. And if there's still students who don't have proper access, who don't have quality access to Wi-Fi or to a Chromebook, they are still going to have to go through this learning curve this quarter. And so to me, that makes me weary of what quarter two's data might be.
Like another thing that I'm thinking about is about our families and about COVID cases. If someone is getting tested positive or someone is having a little bit more of a difficult time, like how is that affecting their school, and how flexible are the teachers across the board on working with our families? Because I feel like in experience, once you're behind, it's really easy to stay behind or just stop with different things. So I don't know.
So I'll share, our family had COVID at the end of October. We shared with the school nurse that, because at first it was 5 out of the 6 of us, and we shared that the students that did have it with the school nurse. And then the next day, I happened to be sitting next to Annabella while she was taught on her Zoom, and her teacher's like, we're going to do this. Or no, we met with the teacher for an individual check-in because she's in first grade. And the teacher's like, well, I'm going to assign you 3 books to read this week. And I said, well, if she gets sick, she might not do it. The teacher had no idea that she was COVID positive. The school nurse hadn't shared with the staff, even though we had called on Monday and said she was COVID positive. By Wednesday, the teacher still did not know. And that luckily I had the worst symptoms in the family, and Madison had a few symptoms, and almost everybody else was symptom free. But it could easily happen. And from where I'm at, I get Canvas notifications about graded assignments, and I click on the email, and then it wants me to sign in as an ASD account holder, which I'm not as a parent, so I can't see half the things that teachers are sending home about the graded assignments or anything. And I'm the Canvas and Clever guru at work, so I know my way kind of around and like how to figure out why it's not working for the kiddos at work that we have at ASD. And it's so frustrating sometimes.
Well, Kimberly, I'm glad that you are well and your family's well. I think that with all of your collective voices and your experiences and concerns, this is not new to our families. And so knowing what we do know, and maybe things that are not in said for policy or considerations, like grading through COVID, what does that look like? That's kind of like that open air. So, NAC, you have a lot of perspectives, and you have a lot of potential guidance that you can bring forward. So, looking at the data as well, one of the mentioned outcomes from the data on Monday was that that this would mean, in a way, like not a mandatory summer school, but a very much you have to go to summer school to correct these grades. So, with that being said, and knowing that we as Alaska Native American Indians rely on our summers for subsistence and preparations for the winter and our traditions, what would your suggestions be for a successful summer? or a solution to offset this?
I would say maybe have short summer school sessions, like so that they could still enjoy a big part of their summer and work, but maybe 3 weeks, or, I don't know. I do think shortening them, but they do need to catch up on what they've missed for sure.
One suggestion.
Go ahead.
Thank you. One suggestion I have as a student is looking at the hours and times. It's really strenuous to be on Zoom at 8 a.m. as a student, as a high school student, and I can't even imagine being a little toddler, a little kid, waking up at 8 a.m. just to hop on a Zoom. And so maybe looking into pushing the start time a little later, just for more attendance. But also, another concern I have, and that I've had since I've looked at the data, is how can we expect these students to fix what the incomplete grade or whatever bad grade they had if they don't have resources? And I know if our students are going to a village to be to subsistence, to fish, or whatever they may be doing, that access becomes a whole lot harder. And so I think that's a really big concern I have.
I think surveying stakeholders would be a good idea to start too, because I know some families are different. Mine, particularly from Dillingham and Bristol Bay, would prepare for the fishing season when school got out, but then we had some of us would spend the entire month of June at fish camp, and then finish out the season at beginning or middle of July. But I know every family is different, because some families would even just stay there and subsist the rest of the summer. So I think a good place to start would be surveying our stakeholders.
I think that what our school was planning to do before the numbers got too high, even though we're online, was to have small groups of students come in. And I know that other schools were in the process of doing that. And so as soon as the numbers get to a place, even though we're still online, getting those small groups of students in who are higher need, who do need the more direct services. And then as far as summer school, maybe I was thinking about, rather than doing it 5 days a week, maybe do it 3 days a week and then have those extra days for subsistence, and then seeing, if that's the right amount of time that you need, to regain those grades or those credits.
Well, there certainly is a lot to talk about with the upcoming steps. And I do know that the next NAC meeting is going to be in January. By then, we don't know what is going to happen with back to school. But by then, Title VI and NAC should have some guidance and more steps for summer. I would urge and be open to meeting after this, because this is 8 o'clock now, and I know especially students and teachers, it's a long day. So I don't know what the next steps would be then to have a consult or executive session or something, but I really recommend that there's a time and place to talk and discuss the data further and NAC's recommendation to the district.
So this is a clarification. Are you making a motion to end the meeting or go to executive session?
Am I even able to make that as a non-NAC?
I mean, not a recommendation. We have to ask the NAC. Or So it's a discussion that you guys might want to think about. I don't know.
So
But would I be able to move to adjourn the meeting, but then open it up for anyone who's willing to stay afterward?
I like that.
Oh, well, it's Ricky, and I move to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Shannon seconds.
I'm secretly going to stay on, though.
I thought we are going to move to the other link.
We do have an executive session link, Zoom, that would not be public. Is there any discussion on the adjournment, or do we need to vote? I can never remember.
I think we vote.
Vote. You need to vote.
Those in favor?
Are in favor of ending the meeting, please vote now.
Aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? And our November 19th, 2020 Native Advisory Committee meeting is being adjourned at 8:03 p.m.
So Robert, if Robert's still on, and Nancy, thank you.